Hey, welcome back. Hour number 2 here. We go from 1 to 2 in this hour on the Pat Miller program. So very, very glad that you're with us. Joe Biden asked this question. Why didn't he do it when he was president? President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? Well, that sounds bold and powerful. Yeah, Trump, what do you say? How about this? 2 of the 3 Americans that were wrongfully detained and released, they were taken captive during the Biden administration, not the Trump administration. Let that sink in for a minute. See, this is that part that somebody was quoting this in their news, that the President of the United States, Joe Biden, demented Joe Biden, really threw it at the President, Donald Trump. Why didn't he do it when he was president? Only one of them was in prison at the time, and the underworkings of a release were already in the mix. Do you realize, this is just me, am I glad that the hostages are out? Yes. Was my heart stirred when I saw them on the tarmac being greeted by their relatives waiting for them here in this country? Absolutely. Absolutely I was. But in the back of my head, when I realized that we did what we did to get them out, I go back to our previous segment where we talked about the writings of Ron Yates and the School of Journalism. Are we really getting to the truth? Are we really getting to the bottom of everything? 7 countries and 24 prisoners were involved in this swap. We got back 3. Who are the other 21? Who are the other 21? And what are the other countries involved? If you're dealing directly with Russia right now, in this line, hostages for hostages, whatever happened, the United States does not negotiate with terrorists. The Putin regime is a terrorist organization. So I think the President of the United States, when he was welcoming these prisoners home, it was completely off track. Absolutely off track. This has been called the biggest prisoner swap since the Cold War, and I think it was. But make no mistake, it was a prisoner swap. Are we glad our 3 are home? Absolutely. Did we throw a gauntlet down strong and hard all the way through the Biden administration to make sure ours got home? No. And why not? Are we afraid of Russia? I think we are. The lady that would like to be president, Kamala Harris, I've got a couple of things that she said this week. She said the Trump administration will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. They will round up peaceful protesters and even terminate the United States Constitution. You know, I'm sorry, but Kamala, are you out of your ever-loving mind? We had more control of our border. We had strengthened small businesses in this country. We had lowered taxes to everybody across all economic spectrums here in the United States, including the one I live in. We had done all of that. And how many peaceful protesters did we round up if they were just peacefully protesting and not demolishing or desecrating our statues? Why weren't the people in Washington, D.C. this week that decimated statues in Washington, D.C. in broad daylight, tore down American flags, spray painted on the base of a statue across from Union Station in our nation's capital, spray painted it? Hamas is coming. Well, that doesn't mean Hamas is coming to Israel. That was telling us that Hamas is coming here. How do we know they're coming here? Because they're already here. I don't think members of some Christian organization for life or some students for constitutional truth in America, I don't think they were the ones out there tearing down and burning American flags and spray painting propaganda messages for Hamas to get stronger and come here and come get us. I don't think that was who was there. Do you? No. Hamas is here. They are here. We'd better wake up and recognize that we're here. We've got a president who needs to wake up, and I will tell you, she may not be suffering from the same level of dementia, but I will tell you that the findings and the quotes and the stand of President Kamala Harris, should she ever be, is no stronger than that of Joe Biden. The policies will remain unchanged. unchanged. It'll be amazing. She said Trump's going to weaponize the Department of Justice. Wow. And terminate the United States Constitution. How much was the Constitution terminated, weakened, or cut back during a full administration of Donald Trump? She went on and said, the American people deserve a leader, an American leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with the facts. We deserve a leader who understands that our differences do not divide us. Well, our differences don't divide us in the fact that I think you have every right to state your difference, Ms. Harris. They do divide us if your differences don't resonate with what I know to be true in my own life. To do so is to take your opinion and to make it decisive. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, real leaders do not tear down people. They don't question someone's identity. Really? Now, is this a slam against you and maybe your stand against the LGBTQ boxer in the Olympics, who in 46 seconds ended the boxing life of a young lady in 46 seconds because he was a male posing as female and she was a female saying, I was just hit with blows stronger than I've ever felt in my life. Corinne, borrow a plane. I know you can do it. Just go out there to Joint Base Andrews, say, I just need a small press plane. It'll say United States on it. You'll be able to fly wherever you want. Why don't you fly right now to Paris? And why don't you go visit the young lady who was beaten to smithereens as a young boxer, who said, I have never been hit that hard ever. And some people, now, here's what some people are doing. Some people are saying, well, that young lady didn't show proper respect because she was running around avoiding the boxer after it was over. You had an Algerian fighter who was already caught up in some kind of a furor about whether he was eligible or not. The World Boxing Commission said he's not. The Olympic Commission said he is. So in 46 seconds, the female Italian boxer in the ring for the Olympics retired from the bout, and some are thinking she might retire from her profession, because this is not to say this is the last time she would have to go up against somebody who is not female, somebody who actually is male, and she had to go up against him. IOC spokesperson Mark Adams, everyone competing in the women's category is complying with the competition eligibility rules. They are women in their passports, and it's stated that in this case that they are female. Did you get that, all you people here, LGBTQ+? You can get around everything. Go get yourself a passport. Somehow get yourself a passport and have just enough documentation where you put yourself down to be a female and have your picture taken with your wig on and your smile and your lipsticks, and it's over. This is insane. Absolutely insane. This just, I want to talk more about this, about what happened in the ring, because I found it to be devastating. Absolutely devastating, and I think maybe you will too. This was back on Thursday. The pugilists and all this stuff are finding fresh light on the controversy because you've got athletes with abnormally high testosterone levels or other male characteristics being allowed to enter women category sports. Speaking after the match, the Italian told the Italian News, I'm used to suffering. I've never taken a punch like that. It's impossible to continue. I'm nobody to say it's illegal. I got into that ring to just show and to just take my fight, but it was impossible for me to continue. After the first minute, I started to feel a strong pain in my nose, and some are thinking that she actually had her nose broken. Is this fair? Pat Miller at WOWO.com. Let me know what you think. Pat Miller, no dots or dashes, Pat Miller at WOWO.com. Is this fair? We'll talk more going ahead, straight ahead. This is Pat Miller here on WOWO 92.3 FM and 1190 AM.
In red from Algeria.
Khalif taking the win. As Carini abandoned the bout. Has fallen to her knees. yet. I think it's an emotional time for Angela Carini, who lost her father just after her bout.
Okay, so what you had there is you had the referee calling. I just want you to hear it in real time, because as soon as he announced the boy-girl as the winner, he raises her hand. The young lady, the Italian, pulls away from the referee and just walks away. The Algerian walks around the referee and tries to, give her congratulations, blah, 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 and all that. She had nothing to do with it. Again, she came to her at one time and patted her on the head, kind of like good little doggy or something like that. And she just turned away from her. There is some thought that maybe she actually had her nose broken in this bout. So this is no small thing. Well, somebody who is not afraid of this kind of thing and who has had similar circumstances that have happened to her, Riley Gaines, NCAA swimmer, she says, I want no girl to ever have to compare themselves physically to a male in sports. Here's what Riley Gaines said right after this occurred at the Olympics.
Broadly, what I want to achieve through my work in protecting women and girls in sports, and really women and girls as a whole, is no girl ever has to compare themselves physically to a male. No girl is exploited in a locker room. No girl has to worry about being injured in her sport because she's going against someone who has 20 times the testosterone that she has in her body. That's what I want to achieve. That being said, I know that's big picture and it's not going to be achieved overnight. So I think little steps. We need the majority of the country to pass some sort of fairness in women's sports bill at the state level. So far, 21 states have, the most recently yesterday being Alabama, passing this bill protecting through the collegiate level, which is huge. But we need more than half the states in the country to do that next legislative cycle. Of course, the aim is 50 states, but I know that's a wishful thinking with states like California and Massachusetts and New York. I understand that. At the federal level, we have to uphold Title IX. What the Biden administration is doing right now is rewriting Title IX to throw women's opportunities out of the window. Again, in this guise of being inclusive, they're actually being exclusive to the very female athletes who Title IX was created to protect. And again, what I want to accomplish here is getting rid of that fear of being canceled, of being silenced, and the submission that's happening. It's actually pretty encouraging to me to see so many Americans boycotting Bud Light and Target. It means they still care. They care about their children. They care about the future of this country, which is at stake right now. And I think more and more people are realizing that. So ultimately, those are the things that I hope to accomplish through my work and really fighting for this.
So, I mean, there you've heard it. We've heard about what happened there in the ring with the boxer from Italy, having the snot knocked out of her, and a broken nose probably, don't have it verified yet, by an Algerian fighter who had already been caught in an eligibility furor because he's a male. He's not a female. And you heard a little bit from Riley Gaines, who had the same discussions that basically was ending and ruining the finale of her collegiate career as a swimmer here in the United States. It's unbelievable. 25-year-old Imam Khalif was cleared to compete at the 2024 Olympics, even after the International Boxing Association disqualified him because he failed gender eligibility tests. He failed them. It's not like, well, it was close. Well, you can barely see, looking down below at his shorts, that he's different. You can really not see a difference in the cheek of the jaw. He looks like his skin is as smooth. Say whatever you want. He was ineligible to compete. The International Olympic Committee used different criteria. Mark Adams, everyone competing in the women's category is complying with the competition eligibility rules. What are the competition eligibility rules? Passports. So just so from Algeria, he was able to get a passport stating that he was a female. That's all they needed. That's all they needed at the Olympic Committee. That's amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me. She went to her corner. Angela Carini, the Italian, went to her corner twice during the women's category 66 kg clash, once to get her headgear tightened because she took a punch to the face, and another to abandon the bout after 46 seconds. She went over at 46 seconds and basically said, "I'm done. I got into the ring to fight, but I didn't feel like it anymore after the first minute. I started to feel a strong pain in my nose. I didn't give up, but a punch hurt too much, and so I said enough. I'm leaving with my head held high." The referee announced Khalif as the winner, but Carini refused to acknowledge her opponent. When you see video, the referee is standing between them in the middle of the ring, holding them by their wrists. The Algerian's already raising her hand, and then finally, when the final is read, it is announced that the winner is Khalif. He holds her hand up, and what happened then? The Italian girl broke away from the referee and walked away from the middle of the ring. She went over. She, the Algerian, the he, she, him, shim, it, went over and tried to console her and all that. She wanted nothing to do with it. She avoided that person to no end. The referee announced the winner, but Carini refused to acknowledge her. She fell to her knees in tears and despair. She came to terms with the end of her Olympic dream. How long had she been working on that? How long had she been working on that? As long as any other Olympic athlete getting ready to go compete. Put your kid out there. Your kid is good in basketball. Your kid is good in soccer. Your kid is amazing in boxing or wrestling. Let's put them in a ring. Let's put them on a field. Let's put them on a court, and let's have them go directly up against a male. Let's do that, shall we? We wouldn't do that in local athletics here for high schools. I hope. The Algerian Olympian was disqualified from the World Boxing Championships after the International Boxing Association determined that Khalif failed gender tests. He was found to have elevated levels of testosterone. Okay? The boxing championship said no. The decision at the time said, for the IBA, International Boxing Association, said, based on DNA tests, we identified a number of athletes who tried to trick their colleagues into posing as women. According to the results of the test, it was proved they have XY chromosomes. Such athletes were excluded from competition. The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, cleared Khalif to compete, and the Algerian Olympic Committee pushed back on criticism ahead of the bout on Thursday. COA strongly condemns the unethical targeting and maligning of our esteemed athlete with baseless propaganda from certain foreign media outlets. The organization said that through the media. Can we get to the bottom of this? Look, this stuff will filter down. I know that there are some that compete on high school levels somewhere, maybe even in our state. When you see things like this is not going to end. This will not end at all. And that could be a major problem for people wanting to compete. Back with more straight ahead right here on Mobile 92.3 FM and 1190 AM. Hey, welcome back. It is the Pat Miller Program. Really, really glad that you're here as we roll into our last half hour of the day. Let me go to Pete Buttigieg for a minute. Not live, just on print. I don't think I could take him live. But Pete Buttigieg said this: women's freedom is Exhibit A after Donald Trump demolished the right to choose. But of course, men are also more free in a country where we have a president who stands up for things like access to abortion care. Okay, let's peel that apart for a minute. Have abortions ceased in this country? No, they have not. Access to abortions might have stopped in certain areas. Why? Because the Supreme Court, and rightfully so, said Roe v. Wade was inappropriately adjudicated back when it began because it should be, based on the amendments of the Constitution, it should be a states' right event. Things that are not delineated directly to the federal government or the Constitution and the constitutional rights given to the federal government then should go back to the states and to the people. You cannot find access for abortion federally as anything that's in our Constitution. When they start screaming that this should be a federal right, run and hide, and then come out fighting with everything that you've got. If they make this a federal right, Everything else that the left ever wants to do that is morally, equivocally, or constitutionally incorrect will be done away with. I don't understand how it is that we've gotten to this point. You know, when Kamala Harris, as we quoted earlier, said that Trump will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, they will round up peaceful protesters and even terminate the United States Constitution. The only people that I hear screaming about what the Constitution allows or doesn't allow them to do are people that A, don't know it, they haven't read it, or B, they don't understand it. If you live in the state of California, for example, or the state of Illinois, or the state of Michigan, if you live in those states, why are you taking your time to dress in some weird shirt that has spray painted on it a motto you don't even understand, and you're out there screaming and you're starting to defecate statues and places and you're threatening the lives of justices of the Supreme Court? Why are you doing that? What could your purpose possibly be? Except for the fact that maybe, just maybe, you think this is our stand. You can get an abortion in your home state of California anytime you want. Anytime you want. And from what I read right now, there are no travel limits on people going from our state to another state. No such thing. There is no such thing. A person from Indiana can get in a car or a plane or a bus or a train and go from here to Illinois or from here to California, someplace that still has abortion access free and open to everybody. Just go ahead. Pat, I didn't think you were for abortion. I'm not. To me, abortion is murder. But I don't want people bringing us to a rapid halt as a country or screaming about we need to change our Constitution when the Constitution is just fine. The Constitution is just fine. Our problem is not, look, if you got a debt in the trillions like we do, if you're looking at a $6 and $7 trillion budget deficit, your problem is not whether or not the government should be doing something. Your problem is in great numbers and dollars. The federal government is doing things they have no business doing. None. That's the problem. Buttigieg goes on to say that more men are freer. Well, here's what Greg Price said about this, thinking about J.D. Vance, because they talk about J.D. Vance and how J.D. Vance's take on abortion is wrong, and it's so back in the Stone Age. Greg Price said Pete Buttigieg says that men are freer when abortion is legal because men can have consequence-free sex and simply kill their unborn babies instead of taking responsibility for them. True or false? Look, and a lot of times, if a guy gets a young lady pregnant, or an older lady pregnant for that matter, and she goes to the abortion clinic, and let's say the total cost of her having done whatever she's doing is $800 or $1,000. Well, I can't pay for it. I just can't do it. Look, if you go in and you pay $1,000 to undo what you did, humanly speaking, that shouldn't be a great deal of stretch for you. That should be pretty easy. That should be fairly easy. But no, you're making it more difficult by now not taking any responsibility. I've often said, if a young lady gets pregnant, and let's say she carries it to term or up to the point of her abortion, everybody knows she's pregnant. You can see it. Why don't we find a 9-month tattoo and stamp it on the forehead of the father that says, "I'm the idiot that did this," just so all the world can know what it is that he did. We know what she did. We know what she did. Can I tell you about something unrelated to this, but related to this? There is a show that's on, and Kim and I watch it over live streaming, and it's from the BBC. And it's a drama, and it's called Call the Midwife. An incredible show. Somebody from our church turned us on to it. It's an incredible show. And it takes you through the lives of midwives and the midwife house, in which some who are Anglican nuns, not Catholic, but they're Anglican nuns, and some who are non-religious midwives, and they work there together, they live there together, and you see some of the distress that comes to them out there helping to deliver babies. And the number of babies that at that time in mid and post World War II that were conceived in East London was incredible. Absolutely incredible. You can feel the anguish. You can almost sometimes distinct the smell when the birth is happening and everything that's going on. When you see a young mother that didn't want the baby because he doesn't want the baby. And then sometimes you see the anguish on her because she knows she's brought that child into life. Some of them are able to turn away and never look at the child. All I know is it was in my belly, it's gone, clean out what's left in there and let me go. And they do that, and they get the baby up for adoption. Sometimes they just want to hold it for a bit. And there's times when the baby lays there on the bosom of that mother just briefly, and you can see the mother's heart melt. In really outstanding circumstances, maybe the birth father is also there, and he melts with her as well. We can do this, Joan. We can do this. This is our baby. Let's don't give it away. Sometimes they're not given that choice. Here in our country, you've got young ladies that decide they're going to have an abortion. Sometimes you have parents who decide it for them, and they go and they get an abortion. And their problem is over. Over. Except now they're really, really, really disconnected from the birth father. Supposedly, I loved him. Yeah, okay, whatever. No, I did. I really, really did. Okay, but that's not now. Right? That's not now. That responsibility of him is over. And Buttigieg says men are freer when abortion is legal because men can have consequence-free sex. Yeah, Greg Price says, yeah, consequence-free sex and simply kill their unborn babies instead of taking responsibility for them. But J.D. Vance is called weird. On the campaign trail, you're calling J.D. Vance weird because he wants to stand up for the rights of the unborn children and for the rights of the mother? We've gone on a whirlwind, haven't we? I mean, in the last week, Donald Trump humiliated Joe Biden in the last month, humiliated Biden on the debate stage, and rumors started saying he's going to drop out. Many in the media said that Biden's going to drop out by getting out before the second debate and Kamala Harris will be named the nominee. That happened. The Secret Service failed to prevent an assassination attempt on Trump. Joe Biden officially drops out of the 2024 race and endorses Kamala Harris. So what's next? What could possibly come up next? We'll have a discussion as we move ahead right here. This is Pat Miller with you on this Saturday here on WOWO 92.3 FM and 1190 AM. And welcome back, everybody, to the final segment of the Pat Miller program here on this Saturday as we've begun the new month of August. And man, is it going to be hot. I don't know about you. I just wish I could get some rain that's enough rain that I can count it. When you see some rain and your wife runs to the window and go, oh, finally rain. And then when it stops, you go out and you look and you've got maybe a quarter of an inch in your rain gauge. That doesn't do much for the shrubs. That doesn't do much for the hanging pots, right? You guys that have to water, you know what I mean. Let me do this. Let me go and talk a bit about what it is that happened recently at an event for the National Association of Black Journalists that was held in Washington, D.C. They had a panel there, and they wanted to talk to Donald Trump, and he came and he sat for questions. Harris Faulkner, I'm going to read to you some of the things that she has and some of the things that she responds to. She mentions the fact that when he got up on the stage, ABC News reporter Rachel Scott started out by cornering him on a bunch of gotcha questions. Trump was sitting for this panel. The appearance began with immediate contention. Scott didn't say hello to Trump, but immediately started grilling him with questions implying that he's racist. In true Trump form, the president condemned Scott for her nasty questions. Let me do a minute here. Let's take a second and let's listen to a 2-minute audio from this with Donald Trump and the reporter Rachel Scott.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner, a first question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country. Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that.
So there's Trump and the quote unquote, my quotes are in the air if you can see him, journalist Rachel Scott from ABC News. And ABC News has always had a lot of Democrats and liberals, but their willingness to fully embrace and slide everything to the leftist side of every equation, it's getting a little apparent, and it's getting just a little bit annoying, don't you think? I think you can hear it in that exchange. Reflecting on the event overall, because Harris Faulkner, who was one of the 3 black journalists that were able to question Donald Trump at the NABJ event, absolutely expressed dismay, not even necessarily over the questions at first, but over the way that Trump was treated. She said not only did audio and technical problems snare the event, issues that Faulkner attributed to both NABJ and ABC News, but Faulkner blasted Scott, though without naming her, for stirring up emotion, for the fact that emotionally charged moments grabbed the headlines instead of the fact that Trump, according to Faulkner, willingly walked into a racial storm. He knew where he was going. He knew why it was he was going to be there, and he left no doubt about what was going on. Kind of amazing. He willingly walked into it. But that's not the only problem, according to Faulkner. According to Faulkner, Trump took significant issue with the fact that he wasn't even given a proper welcome. No, ladies and gentlemen, former president of the United States, Donald Trump, he wasn't offered that. He walks out on stage. He's not given a greeting to acknowledge that he's been 18 days at that point since you survived an assassination attempt. We're just going to ask you tough questions, Mr. President. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. It didn't take much to show humanity. And in that moment, Faulkner says she was so disappointed that it never happened. I couldn't control it, but it got things off to an emotional start. And you and I both know that once that's happened and you and I are interviewing somebody, there is an agenda. Faulkner made a prediction then after that point, after the debate and the interview of Donald Trump. She made a prediction that has people of color probably standing on end. She said, I don't know that people are going to vote of the color of their skin and the extreme hair texture at this time around. This time around, they need to vote for the color green. This is about our money, how much we make, how much we don't make, and what it is that we are able to do because of everything that's happening in our government and everything that we're not able to do. That's part of it as well. Hey, a big reminder, I want you to have a great weekend. Make part of it tomorrow. Tomorrow at 1:05, you'll probably want to get to the ballpark downtown Parkview Field a little earlier than normal for a Tin Caps game. The Tin Caps are playing a game, and they're doing it in partnership with Omni, Steel Dynamics, and the San Diego Padres, and they're going to welcome military personnel to Parkview Field for Military Appreciation Day. Now, you know what that means to me. You know how much that means to me and how we hold up everything with great admiration of those who service in the military. I talked to some of the commanders of the field this morning, and they are absolutely jazzed. And they've got that. The lovely Mrs. Miller and I will be there, so I'm hoping that you'll be there. The game is at 1:05. My suggestion, be in your seats no less than a half an hour before that, because I believe there's going to be some pregame activities. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, okay? Don't climb my frame here, 122nd, because I don't know for a fact this is going to happen, but it would not surprise me at all if there's a flyover. If you heard Kayla Blakesley on yesterday's program on Fort Wayne's Morning News on Friday, she talked about the flyover at our golf tournament last week for Penny Pitch, and she was just beside herself. And she'd never seen a jet maneuver like that and turn like that. When we had the A-10s, what a great warbird that was. But it wasn't what we have out there now. And when you see these things fly, first of all, you're going to hear them fly like never before, but you're also going to see them fly. They're going to go right over the field if everything comes out the way they're trying to do. It takes an act of Congress to get this done. They kind of brought that up to Kayla yesterday, and I think you probably caught that. But that's what it is. So we covered a lot today. I hope it was okay for you. Remember, if you want to text me, it's Pat Miller, all one word, no dots or dashes, patmiller@wowo.com, or you can email me, patmiller@wowo.com, or text me at 260-447-1190. If you come to the ball game tomorrow, make sure you find me. I will be there either in a Tin Caps jersey, or I'm going to be there in my WoWo shirt. I'll probably do the WoWo shirt just so it's easier to find me. Just look for a beautiful woman next to me. You know you've got the right guy. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate it very much. Have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you next week at noon right here on WoWo 92.3 FM and 1190 AM.
Podcasts by Federated Media.